Hello, everybody. We are the Three Amigos.
Yo.
My name is Nick.
I'm Mike.
And I'm Steph.
Yeah, I realize every time Steph says, and I'm Steph, I always go, yeah, every single time.
You also start off every segment with, all right, let's go do this.
All right.
I just look in the timeline for an all right. I'm like, well, that's the start of a new
I
one.
stare at the camera and go, all right.
Yeah.
Steph, we're matching today.
I know. Look at that. I got my BoardGameGeek. And it's
I'm
orange. I mean, you could have had the yellow one. I mean, anything.
I know.
I could have, but I like the comfy. This one is so comfy. Plus, it's cool because they see me. The geek shall inherit the earth is a cool thing.
Indeed.
There's tons of Board Game Geek merch you can go get. Go get yours today, so you can look like part of the Three Amigos.
Exactly.
I look, admittedly, like the odd man out in this situation, but we all look good in the merch.
It's true.
What are we doing today, Nick?
We are talking about auction and bidding games. We're doing top 10 versus 10, where we take a combined list of ours and compare it to the top games of a certain mechanic or designer or anything on BoardGameGeek.com. And this time we're talking about auction and bidding, which is like a mechanic that I always feel like I wouldn't like, but I actually do really like a lot.
Yeah, I agree
Oh
with
my
that.
God. I love it. It's so good.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
great. It really is. And one thing I like about it, and we were talking about this beforehand, was like, how versatile of a thing that can be, because you could be auctioning for so many different things. You could be auctioning for like cards, you can be auctioning for like goods, you can be auctioning for different places on a board, you can be auctioning for like how many actions you're going to take. There's like really like a lot of different things you can be auctioning and bidding for. So it's a pretty diverse list, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Cool, my good contribution.
I agree with what you said. Everything you said was good.
But nonetheless, this is going to be our top 10 auction and bidding games versus your top 10 auction and bidding games. And so let's go ahead and get right into it. No more pretense. Let's just do it.
Let's jump into Board Game Geeks number 10. All right, see what I did there? Number 10 for Board Game Geek is ranked 130 overall, and it is Cosmic Encounter.
Indeed.
I don't get it.
Why people
I
like
don't
it?
get it.
I get
played
why
it
people
once.
like it for sure, but I am not a big fan, no.
Yeah, I mean,
Here's the
okay,
thing, people,
look,
you're wrong.
No, it's
We said it, you
totally-
heard it here.
It's totally a game. It's totally a game that is like, we have friends and stuff. It's a perfect game for them. They like those. They want to be in your face and
Yes.
and messing each other over and stuff like that. It's a game Tom Vassell talked about for years. I finally
Yes.
tried it. I played it, and I played it the way that I think the game wanted you to play,
it hurt
where it's
your
like,
heart.
hey, let's make a deal. Knife. And I did that, and I won. And the look on the guy's face, because I had the opportunity to do a co-win with someone. I said, nah, this is Cosmic Encounter. I'm going to do that. I could take a co-victory. I'm going to take a solo victory for myself. And he was just like, why did you do that? And I was like, this is why I don't want to play this.
Yeah.
This is not fun.
Yeah, that's just,
I will say this. Here's the thing. I would play it again. I absolutely
I would too,
hate betraying people in board games.
It's
That's why
not
I'm
fun.
not a massive fan of hidden trader games. I don't like games where you make alliances, because a lot of times that involves also breaking those alliances. It legitimately makes me feel bad. Like,
but
and if
have
like
you
those
played
games,
the
that's-
Game of the Thrones version, Iron Throne?
No. Maybe
It's
we
so
need
much
to do that.
better because it's Game of
Okay.
Thrones. Yeah, because it's so thematic. Because you actually in Game of Thrones, you're kind of.
I'm very meh on Game of Thrones as a whole, so I don't think it'd be any better for me.
I'm with you. I think with Game of Thrones, you could have fun. You know that's the theme. I could get into that.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
so
know.
good. Actually, I really have had fun with that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's this will never be the game for me. It just won't ever.
No, but I mean,
Yeah,
it is
I
a great game. You know, it's one that's been supported for years. I love all of the different factions they have that are very different. And one thing that I do appreciate, our friend said, like, the cool thing is, like, there's some factions that are amazing. There's other ones that are horrible. And whatever you get, you then have to make it work.
Yeah.
You have to,
Yeah,
like,
make it work.
okay, well, I'm going to team up with this person because I can't get there. And like, that is very cool. There is some cool things, but it's just not my type of game. But it is Board Game Geek's number 10 game. So let's go ahead and jump into our list now. Games that I probably like a little better than Cosmic Encounter.
Hopefully.
That's just my opinion. Let's get into our number 10.
Our number 10 is ranked 508 overall, called Vegas Showdown.
Oh, Vegas Showdown. I love Vegas Showdown.
I played it
Vegas.
once long ago, and I remember really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
a
mean,
great-
I love Vegas, so anything with like push your luck and stuff like that.
The main
Yeah.
thing that like I took away from it was that like it feels Vegas-y.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're just blowing money trying to build your stuff and maybe
Yeah.
it doesn't work out.
And
Like,
the-
it feels like a gamble. You know?
Yeah, and the bidding comes because there's all these different spots you can go to try to get different components for your casino
Yeah.
or your hotel. You can go here and get some fancy slots, or you go over here and you get like the sports book or whatever.
Yeah.
But you're bidding on the spots, and then if someone outbids you, you then have to move then to a different spot.
Yeah.
Which is super, super interesting. And it's just it's a game that like the components are so horrible in it, and it like needs an updated version so badly.
It needs to be prettified.
It needs. This is a game where like before I bring it out, I have to let people know
Yes.
that it's going to look horrible. Like
You're like, hey, do you like to play a game on a crumpled up piece of paper? Cool.
cool, this is great. We can just use a napkin, but like let's use this one right here. It's literally like your casino and hotel, which to be fair, you just put stuff on.
Yeah.
Is just a piece of paper that's just folded in half. So you have this like just indestructible crease in the middle of it.
At least give us a Castles of Burgundy real thin, but at least flat piece of paper.
Yeah, like gosh, man, But no, the game is great. It's got really great bidding. You're jockeying for position, trying to get
It's
your
really fun.
best casino or hotel. But then on top of that, you also have to make like a pathway through your casinos. You can't just put your tiles down randomly. You still have to make them all make sense.
Yeah.
You get bonuses if you connect your casino to your hotel because they're on different sides of your board. It's a very, very fun game. The bidding is really, really good. The auctioning is really great. And this is a game that kind of made me personally fall in love with bidding and auction games.
Yeah.
Because I always was wary of them because I just don't really like confrontation and stuff like that. And like this and bidding is inherently confrontational because you're constantly like, 5,000. 8,000, you know, it's just, you get like, it's just, you know, it's like an auction. And so this game really opened my eyes and my heart to it.
I love that.
And so,
I love that. And that's why it's our number 10, folks. Vegas Showdown. Let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geek's number 9. All right, number 9 for Board Game Geek is ranked 120 overall, and it is Age of Steam.
indeed. Age of
Oh,
Steam.
trains. The train games. There's a lot of
Trains.
bidding in those.
There's going to be
So many trends in that trend.
there's some trends in this
Look at the
trend.
trends there. So many trends.
Yeah, this
I
one's
think
got
that they're
Steam.
steam-powered trains, yeah.
There's ages in it.
There's ages and there's bidding and or auctioning based on the list we're
and-
making.
Steph, have you played this?
No, I'm not really a train player. I don't
Short
play the
entry
train
then.
game.
Let's move on. No, I've always.
Isn't it sort of like a smaller 18XX game? Not small, but smaller.
Yeah, I mean, people who like the 18XX games generally like Age of Steam. That's all I really know.
Yeah, that's all I really know as well. I don't know much about it. These kinds of games, I've never had much interest in these like 18XX big heavy train games, and so I've just never really sought them out. It's one of those things where it's like we just played Dune the other day. I knew going into Dune I was not going to enjoy myself, and I didn't. But I wanted to try it because there's a big part of me that like wants to try these games that I'm pretty sure I won't like, but I want to try so I know what they're about. Like I tried TI4, didn't really like it.
You become more worldly if you
Yeah,
try
you
stuff.
know, exactly. And so like I tried to do something like Age of Steam or an 18XX game. I really want to try.
Me too.
I don't think I'm gonna like it that much, but I want to try it just to be like, okay,
Yeah, but that would then 5 hours, 6 hours later, depending on the train game you pick.
and I'm like, I haven't left this station. Should I have left the station by now? But I want to try Age of Steam or 18XX.
I'm
Because
going to make a bold prediction and say that you actually really like it.
maybe.
Bold prediction, folks. Bold
Well,
prediction.
because
We'll check
Dune
back
is such a different beast, right? I mean, that's a lot of negotiation and all that stuff.
Yes, which I hate.
Which
Yeah.
I also hate.
Yes. So.
Yeah.
But nonetheless.
yeah, Age of Steam is, a
Sorry,
train
we don't
game. You're
have
going
much
to see
more to
other
say.
train games here. And yeah, money and moving money around and bidding and stuff like that is a big piece of all of those games. So
Who's
it
buying
is.
this train?
Yeah,
buying
and it's
that
clearly
train?
well liked. It's 120 overall.
Anybody want that train?
Number 9 on the auction and bidding list. Let's go and jump into our number 9.
Our number 9 is coming in at 2,578. So it's really far down on the list.
Yeah, it's
Why?
climbing, though.
It is
It's-
called Carson City, the card game.
Everyone knows this one is climbing. It's going to
It's
be in the 2400s in 7 years.
Wait.
Well, I mean, it came out a few years ago, I would have thought it would have climbed by now if people were playing
No.
it. But I mean, Carson City's well liked and well loved. I would have thought the card game would do it as well, but some people might not like the bidding mechanic. So everybody has like all these cards in their hand. I think it's like 1 through 9 or 0 through 9 or something like that. And every round you're gonna work simultaneously, play a card, and then it's resolved. So we're bidding basically for these tiles that we were gonna tile place into our own little city that we're building in the Carson City style way. So you are manually placing these cards that you take from the bidding mechanic, and then building up a city and placing these different towns, like the little houses in areas, so you can score points. So you're trying to do all these different things with the grid that you're given, with these like 4x4 cards, basically, or 2x2. Cool. They're little like cards with 4 regions, and so you're overplacing or placing next to, building up your Carson City. And so it's not only bidding, but it has my card like tableau building thing that I like so much too.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's all right. You know what? If not everyone loves Carson City, the card game, as much as you do, that game still needs its champion.
I think it just needs to be played by people, and then they'll see that they like it.
It's kind of like the real Carson City. Like, no one really cares that it's the capital of Nevada. They're like, whatever. Like, literally Vegas for sure. I'll still go to Reno before I go to Carson City. It's like that.
I think I'd rather go to Carson City than Reno. I'm not a fan of Reno.
No, neither am I. But I've been there. I haven't been to Carson City. I'm just saying. That's.
But here's the thing.
This is true. I have never
we can
been.
all agree on one thing in relation to Carson City. That Shanghai Noon's a great movie.
That's the only reference I point is where is Carson City? That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, right?
And where it is number 9 on our list. That's Carson City, the card game, folks. So let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geeks number 8. All right, number 8 for Board Game Geek is Railways of the World, coming in at 114 overall. Another train game.
Yeah, but
this
you
one I
like
played.
this one.
I like this game a lot.
I've been wanting to play it. I haven't had a chance to play it yet.
I like it. I don't really remember where the bidding and stuff comes in, but it's just fun. It's a fun game. You're building out routes and stuff. There's a lot of different maps now. It's the only one I've played is the one that's the eastern half of the U.S., the classic, the first one. And you're building out routes from city to city, and then you're delivering goods from New York to Chicago or wherever it may be. And you kind of empty out these towns and then turn them into ghost towns. And once you've emptied out a certain amount of towns, if they're depleted them of their resources, everyone is sad and everyone maybe has some money or points. And it's just cool because you get points kind of for building. You want to deliver things along kind of a long route. The more kind of sections you build over, the kind of more points you can get, but you have to upgrade your engine. You have to get better trains to be able to go further.
Okay.
You have to, pay more to kind of go through the mountains and things that are more difficult terrain. So yeah, it's just a super fun kind of ultimately pick up and deliver route building.
It sounds like
super
more
train
trains.
game. Yeah, it's 100% still like, hey, more trains.
See, I'm curious because
but
you
without
like
the
this
18XX stock market.
There's no
stuff.
stocks.
No,
Yeah.
Not
I want
not
to try it because you
like
like
that.
it. That's and we have very similar tastes in games. If you
I
haven't noticed.
really do. I played it a few times. I know this isn't on our list, but I really like it. I was surprised to the point where like I want to play it again and like would consider getting it.
Yeah.
But it's just me. So anyway, that is Railways of the World. There are many versions out there. It's obviously very well liked. It's 114 over all of the games on Earth. So that is Railways of the World coming in at Board Game Geeks number 8. Let's go ahead and jump into our number 8.
Our number 8 is coming in at 1,139, called Raccoon Tycoon. The most amazing art.
It really,
It's beautiful.
because it's like realistic,
It's realistically animals in hats.
so fancy.
Yeah.
It's
so fancy.
for the art alone, this game deserves all the praise it gets.
The animals don't look particularly cartoonish,
No.
other than they are super fancy. But they have like they would look like a cat otherwise.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which is awesome.
It's really really good. Good.
Yes.
Okay.
I know how. I know you want. to talk
That's just
this
about
game,
the
so-
art. Now about the mechanics.
Yeah.
Now about the you're talking about trains and auctioning and stuff. Would you rather not auction for a railroad that is run by a literal fat cat?
I think objectively we
big
would all
bear.
rather have that. Yeah.
We'd all want that.
Yeah.
Raccoon Tycoon is awesome because it's a super simple game. I
Yes,
didn't know that.
it really is.
There is you auction for the different railroads, which is just set collection.
Yeah.
And then there's kind of market manipulation stuff as well. But one thing I just appreciate how simple it is with really beautiful art. So it's very easy to explain. And it's very pretty, and so I love it, and we got it because I can show that to new people. It doesn't take long to get them into a game that has some fun stuff going on that looks cool along the way.
Yeah, and the market manipulation I really, really like in it because there's so much where you know, like a lot of market manipulations, you see like Mike is collecting a lot of this one good, and I only have a couple, but I'm like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to sell it because it's going to drive that price down, and then he's going to have to either sell it at a lower price or work on his own to build it back up so that he can sell it at a higher price. And when we play this, I tend to not be a mean gamer, but I'm like, oh, this is a really interesting way that I can manipulate this kind of game in the whole story. And of course, everyone's doing it at the same time, so it happens to you all the time as well. But it's like that interesting, like, oh, you know what? Like, here, let me make a quick buck by selling a couple of these things. Because, one, I'll make some money so I can buy some more stuff, but it's also going to drive down the price because I see that Mary over here is collecting that. And it's a really, really fun game that's ultimately very simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, that's, there's sometimes beauty in the simplicity. You know? There are much heavier kind of market manipulation type games, like 18XX and stuff like that gets into things like that. But this is just like, just have like, you know, like animals do it.
It's not bad.
Sometimes that's all I need. And that is why it's our number 8. So let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geek's number 7. All right, number 7 from Board Game Geek is 110 overall. We're creeping up the numbers now, and it is the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. So, Steph, what do you think of Castles of Mad King Ludwig?
I know you love it, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I love this game. It is one of my favorites. You might see it later on, but what happens is if you are the active player, you get all these new tiles, and you can rearrange the tiles however you want in these different like dollar values. So there can be a high value one and a low value one. If you know the next guy really wants one, you put it higher up, and he has to pay you that money. So depending on how you want to manipulate these tiles, people are going to go around the board and buy them or not. They might just pass and take some money instead, and then you're you know, out of luck because you want people to buy them. So you want to set it at the right price so that they'll pay it. Their top dollar, basically. You don't know what's going to happen, but hopefully you price it just right so they pay you for the tile they want. And it's really wonderful.
Kind of are trying to like get people to buy stuff that you don't want while saving the thing that you do, but you don't want to charge yourself too much, then have to pay that to the bank. It's a really fun game, and then that's all serves to get those tiles and to then build out this really strange castle that has all these different ways of scoring. Each type of room scores differently. It's a fascinating game with that really interesting market and trying to figure out what is someone willing to pay for this.
Yeah, because you want to make them pay as much as possible, but you can't put it too high because then they won't pay it at all. Right. And then so it's like that.
Some money is better than no money.
Yeah. And I love Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I think I prefer it on the app because when I think the master builder is what it's called, and you're setting the prices, my brain just goes and just clutches up. And I just can't pay attention to what everyone's building on top of my own and set the prices. So I get really stressed out when I'm the master builder, and it actually personally takes away my enjoyment of the game a little bit to the point where it also it slows down the game a lot because people have to think. So that's why I've always preferred Suburbia over Castle of Mad King Ludwig because it takes out that mechanic. Sure. But I understand that is a very cool mechanic that for some reason my mind in this specific game just doesn't work. But at the same time, I really, really like this game. Sure. Because I love the tiles, adjacency, and putting this next into this makes this better and da-da-da. I love that part, and I like the concept of the bidding part of it. But for some reason in my mind, it just doesn't work. I don't know what it is, but I do really like this game. So I play in the app a lot.
In between the Castles of Mad King Ludwig.
Oh yeah, we got that, and we play that.
Because it doesn't have bidding or anything, but it has that tile placement awesomeness. So.
Yes, and the fun theme.
Yeah, it keeps the fun theme.
I love the theme.
Building a
for me,
wacky
Castles of Mad King Ludwig just surpasses all of them. I love that mechanic. Maybe I just really take to that mechanic that you don't like as much, but I just it clicks for me, and I love it. I can follow along what everybody's doing. Maybe that's how I can I can visualize.
I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of this room's over here now.
I'm always I'll put this here, and someone's like, thanks. I'm like, oh,
mess up.
So
anyway, that's
great game though.
Yeah.
Great game. Good choice.
Without a doubt. And that's why it's Board Game Geek's number 7, folks. Ranked 110 overall. So let's go ahead and jump into our number 7.
Our number 7 is 176 overall, so much higher up there. It's called Isla Sky. Now, have you guys tried this one?
Not yet, but
Oh,
I
gosh.
love the way that it scores and stuff. And I've almost played it so many times.
Yeah.
So what's
many
weird
times.
is like it's not really an auction bidding, but it is because behind your player screen you are setting these tiles that you randomly pull. And so if I have this tile in front of me, I'm like, okay, he might want that. I'm setting a price for it, but there's no guarantee anybody's actually going to buy it. So it's kind of the same thing as Castle Mad King Ludwig, where you are placing these like values on the tiles in front of you. But the thing is, if nobody buys it, then these tiles are stuck with you. Or by stuck, you mean you want them probably. But you are paying the money that you are basically setting the price at. So if you set it really high, you're losing all your money.
Right.
So it's a tug, because if somebody buys it, you get to keep the money you have, and you get to keep their money that they're paying you.
Ooh,
So that plays right into your strength that you were talking about for Castles of Mad King
Yeah.
Ludwig,
Exactly,
where
I
like,
love
you know
this.
how to price something.
apparently.
You
So
should
I had
run
to price something.
a perpetual yard sale, Steph. You're gonna clean up. You're like,
So not only that, but you get to take these tiles and put them into your Isla Sky, and you're creating this lovely land. And I love the tile placement, just like Mad King Ludwig. So they are very similar in that kind of heft, if you will. So I think you guys should definitely try this one, even though it might break you a little bit, but that's fine.
It's been on the very short list. It'll probably break my head, but that's okay.
Yes.
I don't mind games that destroy my brain.
yeah. It just happens so easily.
It's been on the short list for a while. Almost played it a bunch of times, just whatever reason. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Steph just needs to teach it to us already. And then we'll
I
play
think I
it.
just taught you. It's pretty much it.
Yeah,
That's it.
So we
And-
have
And you
pretty
take
confident
the mechanic from cartographers, right? And
Yeah.
then you're good.
There you go. So we already know how to play it. And so our verdict on the game is that it's great.
So good. It's right up our alley. But it's the Three Amigos, number 7 officially, folks.
Excellent.
So that is up our alley by definition. But let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geek's number 6. All right, Board Game Geek's number 6 is one step above in both ways to our number 7 because it's ranked 109 instead of 110. It's the Game of Thrones, the board game.
Game of Thrones, the board
The
game.
board game of
Oh,
Game of Thrones
boy.
is Game of Thrones, the board game.
Whoa.
I wanted
and
to
I'm going
love this one. I really, really, really wanted to love it.
Never
Didn't,
tried it. Don't
didn't
want
sing
to.
for you. Yeah, I'm not. I don't generally IP chase with games. I'm not like averse to them in any way.
No.
But it's Game of Thrones.
It's Game of Thrones, and it's a bummer if it seems like for Steph, it didn't quite deliver on maybe what you were hoping for. It did it not
Well,
feel
there's a
as
lot of
Game of Thronesy as you
negotiation.
wanted?
I actually don't
Okay.
remember the auction mechanic in it, but I just remember getting
Maybe you can bribe people. That seems Game of Thronesy.
I was dead in like an hour.
You were that character that they would set up in the story and be like, this is going to be a main character. Oh, never mind. They're
Yep,
gone.
guess
not.
Okay, well, that's over now.
That's what I've heard about this game. Is it's like a ton of negotiation, all that kind of stuff, and I don't like negotiation in games. And it's Game of Thrones. I just don't care. I just don't.
I don't get how you don't care. You love Lord of the Rings, and
I do love Lord of the Rings, and it's way better. And so I read Game of Thrones. I read the first 4 and got so bored I just stopped reading. And so yeah, it's just, and I've watched a little bit of the show. Show was fine. I don't know. It's just
like the
it's never been my thing.
That's fair.
Sorry,
fair, folks.
people in the comments.
Whatever. Yeah, people are gonna be hating on you. Game of Thrones is amazing.
Just because Nick's just a straight up hater.
Sorry.
Being a straight
Hater.
up hater.
Sorry. But yeah, it's for everything I've heard about this game. I'm like, nah. Like, it's just like, I know I will have such a bad time. And the thing is, like, with a game like Dune or a game like Age of Steam we're talking about, I'm like, there's a possibility that I might enjoy it, or at least I'll enjoy it enough where I'll get through the game and I'm not going to affect anyone else's play. But there's other games like this game, from everything I've heard, I'm like, I will dislike it so much, I will probably negatively affect
You'll bring
everyone
the
else
vibe
playing
down.
it. Yeah, and I'm just like, I don't want to do that to people, And so for
Yeah,
me, I've
that's
always just
fair.
been like, nope, bye.
You can't play them all anyway, so it's fine.
No, so
Yeah.
yeah, obviously we haven't played any. So.
Yeah. So but the people, Nick, have played
Y'all love it,
Game
though.
of Thrones board game. It's 109 overall. So it's right up folks' alley, and that's totally great. That's amazing. It's number 6 on the list of auction/bidding games. But let's go ahead and jump into our number 6.
Ooh, coming in at our number 6 at 1,291 is the imaginary bidding game QE. You have imaginary numbers in this.
Is this game not real?
It's not real. Is it real? I don't know.
You could, in theory, in
game
QE,
is so-
get into ranges of figures that are beyond anything that
Ridiculous.
we have on Earth.
1 million.
Yes,
For sure. Yeah.
Starting bid. Yeah.
Starting bid. So this is a straight up auction game.
Yeah.
You're just auctioning off these different tiles that are a certain type of industry from a certain country.
Yeah.
It's just straight, it's all for set collection.
Yeah.
But the whole point of the game is that you don't have any physical money to deal with. You can bid and start off an auction or whatever at whatever amount of money you
Literally
want.
whatever.
Literally, you can start with $1 billion on the first tile, and it goes up from there. You can start with $1. It
I
does
would
not
advise
matter.
you not to bid that high.
Don't start
you
that
should.
high. There's a reason, because if at the end of the game you spent all that money and you spent more than everyone else, you are out of the game. You don't
Done.
even get to score. You're done.
Nope.
So it's super fun to be wacky with the figures. But if someone says like, "Oh, you open up with $1 billion," second one, $5, and you're like, "Well, I messed up." So it's, but it's so fun to get into the wackiness, especially because I don't know if you've experienced this, Steph. But every time we play, there is a power creep.
Oh, yeah.
Where it starts off like it was $50,000, and then that one ends up at like 85. The next one's just like $70,000 to start. Ends up at like 110. Then someone's just like 250 to start. You know, and then like it ends up at like
You're
near $1
crazy.
million.
What are you
Yeah,
doing?
and then it just
Do
gets
you guys
bigger
really
and
bid
bigger.
that much?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
We're in the billions every single game.
But everyone buys into that. Like the people we play with, like go with the creep. They don't
Well,
they don't
see-
try to undercut the game.
And
like,
that's what
why
I-
play QE and be like, oh, $40. Like that's not the point of the game.
Well,
What I
that's
love about
pretty
the
much
game-
where I've been at. $12 is usually a winner.
Cool.
I love it. It's like, yeah, don't play with us. We're gonna be like every like $12, we'll be like 100,000.
No,
It's getting
usually
weird.
the first bid wins at like 8.
What? Oh my gosh, 8 million.
Not
That's
8
why I
million, just $8.
No, gosh, what's the point? You have a
You're just
there's
wasting
no
ink
ceiling.
at that point. You're just wasting just dry erase ink. I'm just gonna add K after
It's a
everything you say,
really-
so at least it's $8,000.
Oh, it's a really fun game, as you can tell. But one thing I love about it is you can really manipulate things because, like,
Yeah.
if everyone's around like the $1 million line, and all of a sudden you're like 2.5 million, and you win the bid, everyone also goes like, "Oh no!" Like now I have to start bidding more because if not, this person's always gonna win. And then like,
Yeah.
or like what I'll do is
Messes
I'll
with
like
your head.
drive it up. And then when it gets to me to be the person setting the bid, I'll be like $5. Where they were all like a couple million, and then
Not, like,
no one
ready.
has any idea what they're gonna bid because they're like, do I bid $10 or do I stay up here? But what if one other person stays? And it's just like it cracks me up, and
You
it's
can make chaos for sure.
it's real chaotic, but it's really fun, and there's definite strategy in it, and it's a blast.
Yeah.
Huey's great.
It's super duper fun.
Yeah.
And that's why it's our number 6. And here's the thing. If you play like us, you'll have a great time. If you play like Steph, you'll have a great time. It's a great game, and people should play it
fun.
because
Yeah.
it's just such an interesting thing of it's all blind. You don't know what people are spending, so you live in that paranoia.
Yep.
It's awesome. And that's why it's our number 6. So let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geek's number 5. So number 5 for Board Game Geek took a significant jump from its number 6. It's ranked at 61 overall, and
Yeah.
it is El Grande.
El Grande, indeed.
From 95. There
Yeah.
were board games in 95?
I have an older one on the list coming up. Is that fair?
Yeah, there's a few, some oldies but goodies up on this list, which is totally cool.
Which is awesome.
But because it's from 95 and I was still playing like Hi Ho Cheerio, I do not know about El Grande. I know nothing.
No.
It's just
for-
area control. I don't
Yeah.
actually remember the auction mechanic in it. I played it once and it was not really for me. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's all I know. Is like, it's an area control game.
It's an area control game that you must bid for maybe abilities and or
gotta
maybe you can
bid
buy
for
some
sheep.
areas. You got to bid for them sheep for
Area
El
control and
Grande.
sheep. That's all I know.
And you hope to have
sheep.
a more large area than other people.
Bid on where to place the Taco Bells
Yeah.
in the land and how many Taco Bells per
So
province.
nachos El Grande?
Yeah, dude.
Oh, delicious. Sweet. Anyway, that's number 5. We don't know much about it, but hey, I'm sure folks out there. So let's know a little bit of a synopsis
Yeah.
in the comments
Give us-
if
give
you
us
like it.
your
Why do
elevator
you like
pitch.
El Grande, and why should we try a game from, is it 25 years ago now? Jeez. Okay, I'm going to freak out
No.
about that for a while. Yeah, 95 was 25
yeah, you're
years
right,
ago,
yeah,
dude.
yeah.
That's a while
Jeez
ago.
Louise. So it's officially, I think, a classic at this point. It's number
Yes.
61 overall. We probably ought to play
Highly
it.
acclaimed.
It's a top 100 game. We should play it. But that's number 5 on Board Game Geek. Let's go ahead and get in our number 5.
Our number 5 is a familiar one we just talked about. At 110 is the Castle of Mad King Ludwig.
Yeah.
Basically,
Love it, love it, love it.
It's
Love it.
great.
It's just great.
More
it's
love.
fun.
And I have the Polish edition because it's a little bit prettier in my opinion, but nobody knows what any of the things say because it's all in Polish.
I just imagine it's equally strange. I imagine there's still a mold room or whatever it is, just in
Yeah.
whatever a Polish mold room would be.
Why not,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mad King Ludwig is great. Mad King Ludwig.
Ludwig.
He's great.
Castle's weird.
We already talked about it. It's awesome. We love it.
Recommended.
Yeah, highly recommend it. It's
Do
fun
go
for the
check it out.
The theme alone is just so weird and great.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's all we can say about that, folks.
no
Go
need
check
to
it out if you
anymore.
haven't. Try the app if you haven't. It's
Yeah,
good as
good
well. And we'll get into Board Game Geeks number 4 in the meantime. So number 4 from Board Game Geek is ranked 58, and it
Great
is
game.
5 Tribes, which I don't know if it's a game what we've talked about in any of our top 10 versus 10s, but I love this game.
Yeah, you especially really
The people
love
love it.
Tribes. Yeah,
It's so
great.
fascinating. Like there is definitely auctioning, and it's a Moncala game, but they have this you can bid basically for turn order.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And the cool thing I love about it is that you are bidding with your points. Your
Yeah.
victory points, the money you get are your victory points. And if you really want to go first, you can pay basically to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to make sure that the net is going to be a positive. What you're going to do is so
Gotta
good
hope.
and important that it overcomes what you paid. And that's super cool. We don't actually play with the bidding mechanic much because Nick and I usually play 2-player.
Yeah.
And it just slows the game down for us, so we just kind of go back and forth in turn order. Maybe
Which
we'll
we
do like an
understand takes
initial.
out some of the strategy.
What?
Yeah.
For
Are you kidding me, guys? You have to play with the 2-player variant because you each get 2 pawns, and it's
No,
really
yeah.
critical because you can get back-to-back actions. It's so good
Nah.
2-player. It's like the best 2-player. I will never play anything but 2-players.
Oh wow,
Same,
really?
Because it's
but
Yeah, no, we still
So
don't.
I don't know. Maybe we'll try it again.
I like the bidding with more than 2 players.
I
But with
do.
2
I
players,
really-
we just go back and forth. And
No,
I
it's
understand.
critical.
That's what I was saying. It's critical, and like I've never found it to be that.
I just want to play with the Moncala part.
Yeah, like
Such
and
a
I
good
understand.
Oh my goodness.
A lot of the strategy comes around there, but like the puzzle of the Moncala for me is totally enough. I love it just like that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are like, "Yo, play the bidding," but it's like
No, but I mean, what
no,
Steph
it's
said is
just-
true. I mean, getting to have 2
Yeah,
turns
it's
in a
huge.
row is, I think, in that game, it could be a humongous advantage. So,
or if you even do it, you could possibly get 4 turns in a row.
yeah, you're right because you end
By
on 2, and then
doing it.
yeah, and
It could work.
yeah, it totally could.
I don't know. I thought that's how you could do it because it's just crazy. It's just there's so many good things
I know.
that
Yeah.
you could do.
Yeah, it's great.
I believe you're right. It's one of those things that like I just can't ever get over the hump, but I know that you're right. You're
Oh,
totally
yeah.
right. Like
I'm fully aware
they
the game
built
is
that
probably
into the game for a reason.
It's a better game with the bidding, but like to me, the ease of just going back and forth is worth it.
I know. That's just us, but we can fully admit that we are in the wrong, and 5 Tribes is a
You are in the wrong.
fantastic game. Even
But
as long
we
as
still
we
love it.
We
Yeah,
still love it.
It's a great game, and it's not even on our list, and we love it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and the reason it is because I don't think of it in terms of the auctioning part.
Because you don't play with the bidding.
That's
part.
right.
That's just us. But at least this one we know how wrong we are.
Yeah, well, I'm fully aware.
Will it make
that
us
it's been a game
change
of
our
ours.
behavior? I could not say. But
Convenience, baby. Convenience.
it is Board Game Geek's number 4 bidding game because there is absolutely bidding in
Oh,
there. And let's go ahead and jump into our number 4.
Our number 4 is 481 Shakespeare. Shakespeare.
Yeah.
Shakespeare.
Shakespeare.
Yes.
It's great. So this is one of the...
This game is hard. It's like
so hard.
you have to manage a lot.
Yes, it's a worker placement game or action selection game or whatever. But nonetheless, it's a game where, again, like you have to do 12 things and you can do 2 of them.
It's so brutal.
Because where the bidding comes in, and this is where we kind of talked about in the beginning, like there's a ton of stuff you can bid for in a game. Like there's a lot of different stuff. And this one is you're bidding your actions. You have 5 action discs, and you can bid 1 to 5 of them.
Yeah. And
you put them out and everyone reveals at once. And whoever bid the least actions to do gets to go first.
Right.
So there's that constant like just mind melt of like, you need all 5 of your actions every single turn.
Yes, you do.
But it's like, but you're going last is really bad because there is a communal pool of set pieces and especially costumes.
Yeah.
And if you're going last, you're just getting rags, you know, and you're getting you're getting
Dregs.
IKEA furniture you found in the dumpster behind a Wendy's.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Hey,
that's
it's still free.
It's still free. That's what I'm
free.
saying. You're still getting a set. I'm
But
just not saying it
Juliet
doesn't look
is
great.
not going to be happy
She
about
ain't gonna be happy.
But hey.
And it's really, really difficult. And then once after that you bid, then you have your actions, and then there's still just like, well, what do I do with these actions? And it's such a tight, hard game with a great theme and great art. But the bidding is super, super interesting. But now, like Steph, have you played with the Backstage expansion?
I actually don't think I have. Is it good?
Oh, it's our favorite expansion ever.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which
It's cool because it just basically adds some cards, but like you said, you're bidding with the your actions. If I only have 2 actions to do, what you do not use, you can use in the backstage.
Yes.
So now you can use them on these different types of actions.
Oh, that's really cool.
And it doesn't
because
like blow the game open and make it not hard
No.
anymore. It just provides a couple more opportunities, but it creates even more kind of angst when you're choosing because you're like, I really like the stuff that's in the backstage. I might deliberately kind of nerf my real turn so I can do these backstage
Yeah.
things. And there's still, each of those cards can only be used one time. So Nick maybe gets to that card first. I'm like, well, now my whole backstage plan is messed up. So it's just great.
And it softens the blow of only choosing 2 action discs. So choosing 2 action discs in a normal game, yeah, you might be first, but you're not gonna do anything on your turns.
Yeah.
Because you don't have. But now it's like, oh, I can do that because I can do all this stuff back here, and it's the greatest expansion ever made.
It's fantastic.
Oh, it sounds really good because even when I bid 3, I'm still last.
It basically doubles the game.
Yeah,
with
and it's just a
couple
deck of cards. It's just deck
It's
cards.
wild. It's so fun, but it still is brutal. So
Yes.
it keeps the heart of the game, which is what you hope when an expansion doesn't change the soul of the game.
Yeah.
And it doesn't do that. So Shakespeare is our number 4. Let's go ahead and jump into Board Game Geek's number 3. Number 3 from Board Game Geek appears on every single list. It's ranked 51 overall. It is
Is it? I'm gonna say,
Keyflower.
is it Orleans, Mombasa?
Dear boy, Mars or side.
It's
It's
Keyflower.
Keyflower, the one you don't expect to be on every list, but is
It has
Keyflower.
every mechanic.
Because Keyflower has every mechanic, and it's great.
we've talked about
Keyflower,
this
we've
one
talked
time.
about this many times. I think we all agree we like Keyflow better.
But Keyflower is great.
Which is a drafting version, but Keyflower does have things like bidding and stuff, and you're putting meeples on people's tiles, and you're basically building out a little town using these hexagonal tiles with roads and things. And you are getting production of resources, and you're moving those resources around, and you're kind of going through a year. 4 rounds, the first 2 rounds build up your production.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 rounds basically allow for all your scoring.
yeah.
And it's just a really cool game, and it's just like I'm amazed just how often
on
Keyflower shows up
every list.
because it really does touch on a lot of mechanics, which is
Yeah.
really cool. And
I
if
mean,
you
you're
want to play
bidding for
that,
those tiles. It's critical. It's like the
Yeah,
that's
it
like
really
the
is.
game.
yeah, and that
That I would say that's probably the main mechanic because that's just like how you get tiles.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be on any of those other lists.
no, it should be on all those
Right.
lists, but you're right. Like that sets up all the other things that it can do,
Yeah.
right? And that's that. When I played it, a buddy who was teaching it said like, you're not going to win your first game.
No, you're gonna get stomped out.
Because there's a lot
Yeah.
to do and stuff, and they said like it's because of the bidding and stuff. Like you're not going to know what to bid on.
Yeah.
You're not going to know how crucial
Yeah.
something is and stuff until you play it a few times. Some of that familiarity and the bidding is where I failed. Like I got some stuff. I didn't get the right things. And people say like, oh well, you should have bid more. I'm like, I didn't. But like,
Good game, though.
it's a good game. Well, it's a great game. It's a great game. And Keyflow, it's like I think we all like it because of the speed of it, and it takes out the bidding and stuff. It's drafting instead. So in a way, it kind of does that because you're like, well, I really want this, so I'm going to make sure I choose this, but I might forego these other things.
totally.
Where in a Keyflower, you'd be losing your money and stuff, so like stuff like that. So Keyflower is number 3, is it? Did I say 3 from Board
Yeah,
Games Geek?
3.
51 overall, a great game. And so let's go ahead and jump in our number 3.
Our number 3 is ranked 1942 overall. It's called Outpost. Now, this is a game from 1991. Probably many people haven't even heard of it. But there was a reprint from Stronghold Games in the recent years. But this is a big, huge engine building game where you have a ton of these cards. You don't, if you're producing ore, you're going to get a card valued 1 through 5. You don't know what you're going to get. You'll probably get the 1 because that's what I always get. But you want higher valued cards so you can use them to bid on potential like powers and upgrades during the game, but also so you can spend your money to build more production chain as you go on. And so the more money you can generate every round, the better off you are. And once you hit so many points with the stuff you've built, then the second part of the game will trigger, and then the final end of the game will trigger, and all these different things. But it's so critical bidding on the different cards in the middle. So if you're the active player, you can put up 1 card in the middle, and then you go around and go around and go around and bid until everybody passes, somebody wins. Now, there's a catch because there might be 2 of the same card, so you might bid okay for the first one, and then, if you don't get it, you can bid for the next one. So the first one usually goes cheaper, and then the second one, everybody's like, I need that now, there's only 1 left. And so, it's a much more higher tension, if you will, and there's only so many of them in the game, so there might be, if there's 5 players, there might be like 3 of them in the game, but they come out at different times. So there's all these different cards that may or may not come out when you want them to. You might have the money now, but you won't have it later. All these different things take place. And it's insane. And you have to do a lot of math in your head because you have like a 17 and a 5 and a 20 and an 11. You're like, oh, okay, what's my best combo to bid? And so it's crazy. It is the game I really initially hated, but I've played it so many times because my group loved it, and now it's like one of my top favorite games. It's like insane.
That's really cool. That's a big journey to go from something to be able, I mean, I guess maybe you were forced into playing it or whatever by your group.
I was. It took 6 games before, and that, nowadays you don't think about 6 games, and I would never play 6 games now.
So you don't like,
well, that's really cool though. I mean, I guess it just goes to show that if you play something enough, you may not, but you may be like, oh, now I see. Or you find a way that you love it because you find your hook into it. That's really a kind of an inspiring story. Yeah. It's like, if you had a game that you were so on the first time, like, do play it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Try it again.
There's been times where I've played a game a second time and I was like, oh, and so, yeah.
That's super cool. And that's really interesting with the fact there's multiple versions of a card, but you don't know if or when it's going to happen. So do you jump on it right away so you're like, it's done? Or do you like, I'll get it the next time. Maybe I can sneak it.
And so if there's only one of something, it's so crazy because if there's one of something, you're like, I need it now. And then you end up spending like double of what it's worth, basically. Yeah. Because you get it right now versus in maybe 3 turns or something. You don't know.
It creates that demand.
And so there's just so much uncertainty. And it plays up to 9. I don't know if I would play with 9 just because it would just be crazy. But I've played with like 8 before and it's fine. It's such a cool engine. I mean, there is a problem, like new players will not do as well just because of the learning curve.
Sure.
Yeah,
but
that's something.
It is what it is. That's probably the flaw, is that there's no catch-up mechanic. So
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, so
if you're in the lead with the other people, then you're doing okay, and if you're kind of falling behind, it can be kind of harder. So that's why it was the initial like grudge towards it, but it's something you just learn to get better at, I guess.
That's fair.
I dig that. Not every game is going to have that where it's like sometimes familiarity is best.
Yeah,
like, I mean, really any game. It's like if you're familiar with the game, you probably have a better shot at it. Yeah. But, if there's not always a good catch-up mechanism, it's fine. Not every game has to have that. Outpost is number 3 for us. Yeah. The 3 Amigos, despite its ranking. It's not as high up as some of these BGG games, but it doesn't make it not good. Okay. But in the meantime, let's see what number 2 is from BoardGameGeek. Number 2 is ranked 35 overall, and it is Power Grid.
Power Grid.
Power Grid.
In this game, you are trying to, again, there's many maps and stuff, but in the basement, like the U.S., you're trying to power various cities. You're trying to provide them power, and you are you're auctioning off different power plants. Using different types of materials and things, starting off usually with coal and whatnot, and hopefully moving on to, you can start recycling trash and things.
Yeah, it
and
gets
then
really wild.
Plutonium or uranium, I think it is. And so you're bidding for those different power plants, and there's some pretty powerful ones out there. What do y'all think about Power Grid? I actually really quite like it.
I do too.
And I found it, other than the kind of having to do addition and stuff and counting up things, which you can use a calculator for, I find it really simple.
Yeah, it's
To the point where the first time I played, it's like, I don't know if we're doing this right. Because it was built up in my head as this like huge like brain melter thing, and I'm like, oh no, it's just because you have to do you have to do math.
I didn't play this game for a long time because people would talk about it's so mathy. You have to do so much math, and so I'm coming with like a notebook and like ready to do calculus, and it's just addition. And there's sometimes a lot of it, but like people talk about how mathy it is, and it turned me off the game for a long time because I was like, this is going to be this massive, heavy game, and it's really not. And the math is not that hard. Like if you haven't played it, because
not like Outpost.
Yeah, no, that's getting into some wildness. But this is just kind of
it's just
straight up.
It's addition. So if you've been like worried about it because you hear how mathy it is, it's not that bad at all.
You have a phone. There's a calculator there. Bring that out and just type it up once it starts getting to that point. And because I wish I'd known, because someone said like, hey, Power Grid's one of my favorite games. I'm going to teach it to you at PAX Unplugged a couple years ago, and I was just like, let's be ready. Let's go into this. And then we were playing it. I was like, what the? No one told me this was like just. It's so simple.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, it's a game that you constantly hear about, constantly hear about. And lives up to the hype, at least for us. We really liked it a lot.
I mean, a lot of people, obviously, it's a huge game. People love the game, but I did not realize the level. I thought it was a super heavy game.
Yeah. Steph, you like Power Grid?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I like Power Grid. I haven't played it in, I don't know, 7-8 years or something now. It's been a long time. But I'm, like, almost undefeated. I, like, lost one game ever.
Wow.
Cool.
I think I've won one game ever.
Super good.
So I was like, I'm really good at this game. I played, like, several times in a row, and then I won, and I'm like, I'm just kind of done.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. It's too good, you know? You're just
maybe it's just, like, maybe that was just, like, a natural connection to Power Grid, but I'm just like, maybe I just don't, I don't know.
I've mastered clean energy.
If I'm that good at something, I'm like, well, it's not that interesting.
That's fair.
That's totally fair. I mean, I think there's definitely seasons with games where for a while it might be something you play a long time or a ton, and then kind of are done with it. You may come back to it, you may not. And I think it's totally fine. Yeah. Like if you like play a game, you're like, man, I really experienced that. I got everything out of that I need, and I'm done now. Cool. How lucky are you? I mean, that's kind of where I am personally with Azul.
I would play it again when somebody recommends it or suggests it. I'd be like, okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it'd be the first auction game I would pick. I would pick pretty much anything else on this list.
Well, it's not on our list.
That's not trains.
Obviously, yeah. Not trains.
Yeah.
That's fair. It's not trains. Definitely not trains. Although trains might ship around the oil and stuff like that. We don't know. It doesn't go that deep into it. Power Grid is number 2 though from BoardGameGeek in terms of auction/bidding games. So we have a number 2. We're gonna get to that right now.
Our number 2 is 613 ranked overall, called High Society.
High Society.
It's so good.
Yeah, you were talking.
You know what? I just learned this one, guys.
Oh, is that right?
We beat you to a game. It can happen.
It can happen.
So for Nick, Vegas Showdown was the game that kind of made you say like, oh, auctioning's not so bad and stuff. High Society was the game for me that showed me the light.
Yeah.
To this kind of idea of a game. We played this very late at MeepleCon before it was Dice Tower West.
Yeah.
We played this very late at night. It was the right time to play where we could get into the goofiness of it, and we just had bad French accents.
This game always gets goofy though.
It does.
It was so weird because it doesn't.
Tone.
I have no idea why. It just always brings giggles.
Yeah, because you're just straight up just auctioning off these different items. They're very French items.
Bad food.
And at the end of the game, kind of similar to QE, if you ended up spending the most money, you are out. Or if you have the least money left, basically, you're done. So in this game, it pushes you. You want to live the fanciest life possible. You definitely want to be better than your friends, but you don't want to be broke as a result.
That's true.
You want to be close to broke,
Yeah.
but not broke. That's a faux pas.
Yeah.
And so we just had so much fun getting into the silliness of it. And then there's a really cool thing of you have these cards that are your money, and you can't make change and stuff. So it really is kind of a hand management game as well. And we really like. So Steph, you recently played this. What did you think of High Society?
Oh, we had a lot of laughs too. I'm like, I don't know. It's up in the air for me right now.
Okay.
Like, I like it.
That's fair.
That's fair.
I mean, it's new to you and stuff. For us, it's an established one. It's one we bring places because it's very portable.
Play with our brother and sister.
We play with
all
our
the
brother and
time.
sister and
Yeah.
stuff. We have a great time. It's just kind of like a classic for us at this point.
Yeah, and
Love
it's a simple little Reiner Knizia game. It's great. I don't know
so
why
fun.
it's so fun, but we love it.
We
so
make it.
much.
We bring the fun. Because
That's
if you
true.
if you didn't
You
want to
do,
get into the
you-
character and silliness of it, it's incredibly Knizia
Yeah.
and dry. But you can have a lot of fun with I'm going to
Yeah.
live a fancy life. I'm going to put down
And again,
for
it's
my
like
horseman.
it doesn't even call me. It's just simple bidding. Like, I want 10,000 francs. All right, 12. And you just until someone wins. It's straight up bidding and nothing else. And
Yeah.
it's just like it's great. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it's super fun. And against the game that kind of, I was like, oh, you know what? This auctioning is pretty fun because I was intimidated by it for a while. And that's why it's our number 2, folks. So let's go ahead and get into the number 1, starting with Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
All right, number 1 from Board Game Geek is ranked number 5 overall. The only one to crack the top 10 or even 20 or even 30.
Indeed. And
games.
the only game on this list lighter than High Society.
It's true, and it is Through the Ages.
Indeed.
A new story of civilization.
A new story.
The new one.
It's I mean, come on.
Basically, it goes down to like, did we even play the
folks.
game? I have no memory. It was so easy to do. Through the Ages is a big Civ game that's all driven by cards. We've talked about it before. I love it. And in it, you are bidding at times for different colonies and stuff.
Yeah.
Like in the game, islands basically will pop up and you can get resources and things from them. And you have to spend your military strength. You have to send people out to basically populate these new colonies.
Yeah, just hold on to them.
And so that's where the bidding and stuff comes into play. Other than that, it's a big Civ game. You're playing out these cards and you're building up various little engines to get food to feed your people and get more population, resources to build all your buildings and wonders of the world, science to fuel new technology, and culture ultimately to give you your points.
Yeah.
And so it's a game I love. I played on the app a bunch. I was talking about this a couple lists back. And it's fantastic. And that kind of, the bidding over the colonies is something that I've kind of enjoyed more and more because you're like, well, depending on what these people are spending, and if I don't have kind of these little boosts to my colonization, my exploration, I might lose a lot of my military strength, which leaves me vulnerable. So is this what I'm going to get worth what I'm having to give up? And there's just really interesting things that it'll provide.
It's a great little puzzle on a very big, heavy game.
Yeah. And I don't know. I know I'm the one who's kind of played Through the Ages the most, but yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Steph, you like?
Yeah, I didn't even remember the auction part. I'm like, isn't it just the cards?
It's
and the line? But I
minimal.
guess
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah, I'm like, that should probably be a secondary.
Yeah, when I first saw it, I was like, how is it? I'm like, oh yeah, I guess you're
you
bidding
do.
your
There's a little
people,
bit of
and it
bidding
does
in it.
go around like an
Yeah.
auction. You know, you can raise, and then if someone outbids you, you have to outbid that. So it is very much that, but it's funny because it's definitely not an auctioning game.
No.
You know, it's just a small, ultimately
Right.
small piece.
It's not my first thought anyway.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's definitely a big engine builder that has this little auction piece to it all, but one that I think can really impact your game. So it does a lot while being just a small, ultimately, part of your game. And that is Through the Ages. This is number 1, ranked 5 overall of all the board games.
Pretty high.
Through the Ages. So let's go ahead and jump into our number 1 to wrap this thing on out.
Our number 1 is 511 overall, which should be a lot higher, and it's Reiner Knizia's Medici.
Oh,
Medici.
Ryder, and your auction and
Medici.
bidding.
Loving it.
You are bidding your points, so everything really matters. It's your points. And so you can bid it all if you really want to, but it's a once around mechanic auction, and every turn someone can reveal 1, then 2, then 3 cards, well, up to 3 cards, and then send it around for that once around action. So you reveal a 5 red, which is the best red. They're all 0 through 5 ranking in these different goods that you're collecting to put on your boat. And so maybe you add a card to it to sweeten the pot, or maybe you'll flip over a 0 wheat that nobody wants, and then that just like ruins it. But you want people to spend their points because you want to be in the lead. Now, you don't personally get the points if somebody buys it from you. You get the last say, though. So if it's something really sweet that has like 5/5, and the special 10 treasure, you're going to have a huge boat, which gets you bonus points at the end of the round. And so there's different things that you're doing, and the goods that you deliver, well, you move up these tracks and you can get points that way. So there's ways that you're trying to make your boat better as the game goes on. And so there's 3 rounds, and it's just pure bidding, and it's wonderful.
I love it.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds awesome, and I just love how Knizia it is. It's like, oh man, you can put one of those 0 through 5s down. Delicious. It's gonna somehow make a boat better. You're like, yes. Moving up a track, like Knizia, talk to me. Don't tell me that it's wheat. Just tell me it's only a number, because I know when you're looking at it, it was like, well, that's 2A, and you're like, what's A gonna be like? Corn. I don't know what. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Put it down and move it around. I'm like, ooh. But the thing is, I hate it because they are really fun games.
They are. Knizia's great. It's the reason why Knizia's the best. Yeah.
It works. Oh, it's so good. But it just sounds so Knizia-y. I love that.
It is, and it's wonderful, and you should definitely play it if you haven't. But I recommend 5 or 6 players. 6 players, you'll use all the cards. 5 players, you'll take a few out, so you don't know what's going to be available.
Yeah, with those games, it is kind of best to play at those max player counts, so you get the fullness of it and
maximum biddage.
Maximum biddage, but you get all those cards. It is kind of a bummer if it. Sometimes. My lady and I will play Herbaceous 2-player, which it works totally great 2-player, and you cut out literally about half the deck.
Yeah.
And those go away. And so one thing that's nice is you don't know what's in there. You don't know if what if all the sage is gone? You don't know that.
What if that's the only sage in the whole game?
Yeah, and it's like, it's a bummer. I'd rather play with a full player count, so you have all the cards. You might still not get those things, but you're playing you got everything there. So I totally get that, playing Medici at the highest possible counts if you can. And that's our number 1, ending on a Knizia classic. It's another old one. There's a lot of older games these auction bidding games have really stuck around.
It's a simple mechanic. Auction and bidding and negotiations have been around since people started speaking, and it's like, and bartering. So it's like, it's a natural mechanic to throw in a game. Be like, oh, put this out here, figure out who gets it. It's like, that's a very intuitive mechanic to put in, where something like, worker placement or deck building isn't necessarily like, that's not something that people have done for centuries necessarily, so it's like, it makes sense. And when we were looking up and researching this list, we were all kind of like, oh yeah, like this is I forgot how many games have bidding in it, because we each could have made another top 10, it's like easily,
Well, I was thinking about we ended up not putting modern art on there. It's like, oh, modern art's so good because.
Well, I know. I was thinking we should probably put modern art on.
Because that's literally what it is, but it's like, Knizia, dang it.
So good.
But it's like, it's like, there's a lot left off. And I'm sure people put down in the comments ones that you really love, because there's a massive amount of games that have a bidding mechanic in it. So put it down in the comments below. Let us know down there as well what lists you want to see us smash together, our list versus your list. Put down in the comments below mechanics, publishers, artists, designers, all that kind of stuff.
Anything you want to see us make a list on, we could probably do it, because BoardGameGeek has all sorts of different categories and things you can do searches by. And while you're at, just explore BoardGameGeek and find all these different cool, because you can be like looking for a certain mechanic, and while we're scrolling through the list trying to figure out our games, you see all these other games. You're like, well, now I'm intrigued by this game or that. So definitely just play around on BoardGameGeek. There's a lot to explore there.
Yeah.
And if we're not missing anything else, we're going to wrap this thing on out. 3 Amigos. We done it again. A lot of classic games on here. Play some older games, folks. I know I was talking trash about a game from '95 being unreal, but like, there are cool games from the 90s and stuff. Who knew? They're out there. So go ahead and give those games a play. And until next time, folks, I am Mike.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Steph.
And the 3 Amigos, we are out. Bye.
Peace.